Every town has its ghost stories. Marrow Hill had hundreds, but none as bone-chilling as the tale of the school bell that rang after the school was shut down for good. In 1982, Marrow Hill Elementary was closed after a tragic fire took the lives of 5 students and 1 teacher. Ever since, the building sat untouched, burnt walls, collapsed roof, broken desks still littering the darkened corridors. They said no one had the courage to enter. They said if you listened closely at midnight, you'd hear the bell ring just once, calling someone back. That someone was now me. Chapter 1: The Return. 41-year-old Daniel Keene had no reason to return to Marrow Hill. A successful architect in Chicago, he'd built a life far away from the trauma of his childhood. But when his estranged mother passed away, and her will named him as the sole inheritor of the family home, just a few blocks from the ruins of Marrow Hill Elementary, he had no choice. Daniel arrived on a cold October morning. The wind smelled of pine and damp soil. Everything felt smaller than he remembered. The grocery store with a flickering neon sign, the empty church parking lot, the dead oak tree near the corner that had once held a tire swing. His old house still stood, silent and choked by overgrown ivy. Inside, dust coated every surface, but it was exactly as his mother had left it, her books stacked neatly on the table, a bowl of rotten fruit in the kitchen, and photos of him and his younger sister Ellen still hanging on the wall. But Ellen had died in the fire. Chapter 2: The Whispering Walls. On the second night, Daniel woke at exactly 12:01 a.m. to a faint sound, ding, a school bell. He froze. It wasn't possible. The school had no power. It was boarded up. The bell tower had collapsed years ago. He tried to convince himself it was the wind, or his imagination. But the next night it rang again. This time, it echoed longer, deeper. He stood by the window and stared at the distant shadow of the old school building. It was calling. Chapter 3: Clara. The next morning, Daniel visited the local library to find old records about the school. The librarian, a frail woman named Clara whose eyes seemed to hold decades of secrets, looked at him strangely when he asked about the fire. "You're Ellen Keene's brother," she said. Daniel nodded. "They never found her body," Clara whispered. "Some say she ran. Others say she never left the school." Daniel's blood ran cold. Clara handed him a file, yellowed newspaper clippings, blurred photos, witness accounts. One article was particularly haunting. 5 children perish in fire, 1 body missing. Beneath it, a blurry photo of 6 children smiling. Ellen stood in the center, holding a handbell. The caption read, "School Play, The Bell Ringer's Curse." Daniel had no memory of the play. No memory of that day. Chapter 4: Through the Ashes. That evening, unable to fight the growing obsession, Daniel made his way toward the school. The chain-link fence had rusted apart, and the door was barely hanging from its hinges. The once white bricks were now black with soot and time. Inside, the smell of smoke still lingered. Burnt chairs, melted toys, and half-charred books lay scattered. Daniel moved carefully, each step echoing with dust and memory. Then he heard it ding. He turned sharply. The sound came from upstairs, near where the bell tower once stood. "Ellen," he whispered, not realizing he had spoken. The corridor groaned under his feet as he climbed. A door creaked open ahead of him. He stepped into a room where the walls were covered in childlike drawings, smiling suns, stick figures, and bells. So many bells. In the center of the room sat an old desk. A candle burned on it, freshly lit. Someone had been there. Chapter 5: The Journal. He found it in the drawer of the desk, an old leather-bound journal. Ellen's name was carved on the front. The entries were strange, rambling, frightened. "The bell is not a sound, it's a doorway. Miss Talbot said the fire was the price for silence. I tried to leave, but the bell rings in my head. Daniel, if you find this, don't ring it." Daniel's fingers trembled. He looked around the room, suddenly aware of how still everything had become. Not even the wind moved through the broken windows. He stepped back and saw a shape behind the door. A small figure. A girl. She smiled, and vanished. Daniel fled the room, his breath shallow, heart pounding. He didn't believe in ghosts. He didn't believe in the supernatural. But he did believe what he had just seen. A girl, Ellen? A spirit? Something else? He raced back home, journal clutched in his hand. That night, he didn't sleep. He pored over every word in Ellen's journal. The entries grew more fragmented. She rings it. The teacher. She told us it opens the way. We laughed when she said the play was a ritual. But it was. When the fire started, she didn't scream. She smiled. We're stuck in the bell's echo. Daniel remembered Miss Talbot, their drama teacher. Kind, quiet, a little strange. She was the one who died with the children. She was also the one who had written the school play, the one about a cursed bell. And now he knew. The bell wasn't just a story. Chapter 7. The Bellringer's Curse. Determined to break the mystery, Daniel returned to the school in daylight, carrying Ellen's journal. The building felt different this time, less haunted, more hollow. He headed straight for the bell tower ruins. Beneath it, under debris, he found a locked trapdoor. With some effort, he pried it open using a crowbar from the janitor's closet. Below was a spiral staircase leading deep underground. The basement had once been a boiler room, but someone had converted it. Walls covered in chalk markings, candles melted onto the floor. A circle with 6 names was drawn in red. Ellen, Joseph, Lila, Marcus, Theo, Naomi. At the center, an actual brass bell. It was intact, untouched by fire. He reached for it, then stopped. From behind him, a voice whispered, "Don't ring it." He turned, and there she was. Ellen, no older than the day she died. Pale, but not ghostly. Solid. "Ellen," he gasped. "You shouldn't be here," she said. "Neither should I." Chapter 8. The Hidden Truth. Daniel could hardly believe it. His sister was alive, or something close to it. She explained everything, in fragments that barely made sense. The play had been more than a play. Miss Talbot was part of something older, a group that believed in threshold rituals, ceremonies to open doorways between worlds. The bell was the key. They needed 6 children, Ellen whispered. 6 innocent souls. The fire was meant to be the final offering. But you survived, Daniel said. She nodded. Because I didn't ring the bell. I hid. The others, they were pulled into something else. A place between. Ellen had been trapped ever since, half here, half there. Not dead, not living. Kept alive by the echo of the bell. And now that you've come, it's starting again. Chapter 9. The Final Ring. Daniel knew what had to be done. The bell needed to be destroyed. But as he raised his crowbar to smash it, a force threw him back across the room. Shadows gathered near the circle, taking the shape of children, twisted, half-formed, reaching out with desperate eyes. You can't break what was never built in this world, Ellen said. The bell belongs to them now. Then what do I do? Daniel cried. You have to finish the ritual, Ellen said. Reverse it. But someone must stay behind to close the door from the inside. He looked at her, understanding dawning. No, he said. I won't lose you again. You never lost me, she said. You just stopped listening for the bell. She smiled, peaceful this time, and stepped into the circle. The room trembled. The shadows screamed. The bell rang one final time. Chapter 10. Echoes. Daniel woke in his old bedroom, light streaming through the windows. The journal lay beside him, but the pages were blank. The school gone. Completely. Where it once stood was now an empty field, overgrown and quiet. He visited Clara at the library again. She looked at him with kind confusion. There was never a school on that street, Daniel, she said. You must be thinking of somewhere else. He drove to the town archives. No record of Marrow Hill Elementary existed. No fire. No Miss Talbot. No children. Except one newspaper clipping remained. Missing girl's brother returns to town. Claims school vanished. The photo beneath it showed Daniel standing alone near the field. No one else believed. But he did. Every year, on October 12th, at exactly midnight, he stood by the empty field. And sometimes, if the wind was just right, he heard the bell. Just once.